Hi everybody, and welcome back. In the last tutorial, we looked at creating a query within Microsoft Access, and we took our sales times our quantity sold to come up with total sales, as well as our wholesale price times our quantity sold to come up with our total cost of goods sold. And after adding those two fields to our query, we then just subtracted the total sales from our total cost, and we were able to generate a gross margin report. I'm just going to pull that query up here, and we can see what we've done here. In this next tutorial, what I want to do is I want to show you, first of all, how to export data out of Microsoft Access into Excel. Not only just for the sake of Microsoft Access, but if you have found yourself working in a management information system somewhere and found that some of the reports that are in that system are rather limited, and you don't have the convenience like you have in Access to just develop your own query, pull out all the information and the attributes that you need, create your own expressions and formulas, and just create wonderful reports without any problems. That doesn't happen out, in the real world, unfortunately, when you're using various types of even ERP systems, whether it's Navision or Solomon, NetSuite, whatever you happen to be using. A lot of the reports are canned reports. It doesn't necessarily give you all the detail that you need or the information that you need. So you will at some point, if you haven't already, found yourself having to export data out into Excel and do something with it. So that's what we're going to do here today. So again, always starting with the end in mind, what we want to do from this report here, we're going to export it out into Excel. We're going to create a pivot table in Excel because we want to total all the sales by each individual salesperson. And then we want to add a calculated field because we want to be able to calculate these folks in this example get paid commission of 5% of their sales, and we're going to be able to do that very quickly right within Microsoft Excel. So let's do that. So once you have your query or whatever it is that you want to export up on your screen, make sure that you have this tab, external data, highlighted. Then let's select the Excel tab, and we want to select the export data with the format and layout that we have it here in our view. And also I want to open it immediately after it's been exported. Now I've got multiple monitors open here today, so, oh, no, it is going to show up on the screen. Okay. All right, so now we've got all our data right from Microsoft Access that quickly imported into Excel. So again, what we want to do is we're going to create a pivot table here, and then we're going to add a calculated field to determine our commission. So first thing we need to do is we need to select all our data. And if you just, a quick keyboard shortcut, if you just select cell A1 and hit Control A, that will very quickly highlight all your data. When you're only working with 100 rows like we've got here, it's not a big deal to sort of drag and highlight, but if you're dealing with thousands of rows, that can be a bit of an issue. All right, so once we've got our data selected, we'll go to Insert, and we'll select Pivot Table. And by default, Excel will always want to open the pivot table up on another worksheet. I always suggest doing that. Don't try to create a pivot table within the worksheet that you happen to be working on. It's a little messy. All right, so here are our available fields. Just a quick recap again, these available fields are just the column headings across our original worksheet. So what it allows us to do is just sort of cherry pick what items that we want. So for here, we want to get obviously the employee, and we want to get the total sales. Now I want to format this total sales so it's in currency. So I'm going to select value field settings here, and we'll select the number format, currency, and select OK. And there we go. So now we've got a list of all our salespeople and their total sales for that specific month. So now what we can do while we are in the pivot table function and we're on the Analyze tab here, we want to add a column here to calculate the commission. We can do that right within the pivot table. We don't have to be doing a lot of other complicated stuff. So we can just, in the calculations form here, we can just simply select field item sets and select the first item down that says calculated field. And first thing we're going to do is we want to give it a name, and that's going to be the heading of the actual column. So we're just going to call this commission. And then we're just going to put in our formula. As with any formula, it starts with equals, and we're just going to double click total sales times 0.05 and select add and OK. And there you go. Now you can see very quickly using a pivot table and the calculated field option, we can calculate commissions. Okay. We can also go a step further with this if we wanted to see profitability, for example, on various items. We could go into our pivot table and we could select product. Now let's just hide a few things here for the moment. I'm going to just unselect commission because I don't need that for now. And now we've got our total sales in here. The product name we've also got in here. Now if I wanted to, because it's a pivot table, I can move this around and drag it up to columns. Okay, that doesn't look so great. Or if I wish, I can move it over to filters, and now you can see it's got the product name at the top, and right now it's selected all the products that have been sold and the total amounts here. I can select the drop-down menu, and if we just want to select a couple of items, first we'll select multiple items, deselect all, and if I just want to see, for example, the sales on the Sony 55-inch, we can select that, and this will show us just on that product the total sales for the month, and then the individual sales by each employee. So again, let's try another product here. We'll unselect that. And how did we do on, now let's see here, let's find something from our friends at Apple. Let's take a look at this on Mac here. All right, so it's showing our product here and the total sales for the month were just almost $11,000, and it has the breakdown here of the individual salesperson. The possibilities and the combinations using pivot tables and calculated fields are almost endless. This is just a quick tutorial just to give you sort of an idea if you've never exported data out of a management information system into Microsoft Excel, how you can do that, and then you can sort of play around and determine using calculated fields and pivot tables what type of information is available, and you can lay it out in any way that you want that's meaning for you, and that will provide you with the data that you need to look at your business. One last point before we go. I generally, before I work on anything, I've left this worksheet as is. If you're ever doing any work to a worksheet like this outside of the pivot table, I generally recommend making a copy of it just to keep your original data set in your worksheet intact. For example, I can right-click here, select Move Copy, and I'm just going to create copy right here and select OK. And now I've made a duplicate copy of my original data set. What this allows me to do is I can go in here and add columns if I want, different perimeters if I want to calculate taxes and so on and so forth. And what it does is if I happen to make a mistake or mess up the file, I still have my original one here to go back to and work on. It's always nice just to have that extra layer of protection in place. Anyway, I hope you found that really helpful. If you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please do. And if there's any additional things that you'd like to see regarding Access or Microsoft Excel, please drop me a line, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Till then, take care, and we'll see you soon.